The stop for Radio DePaul, your Chicago college connection.
You're listening to Radio DePaul. This is Roxy with the Soundtrack Revisited, with our last show of the quarter, of the spring quarter 2025. Very exciting. And this is why, for our last show of the quarter, I decided to talk about a very exciting score, probably the best score of 2024, if I may say so myself. Today we are talking about Challengers, the third installment in our Luca Guadagnino series. And I very intentionally chose to do this one last because I want to go out with a bang. And this certainly is one. This movie was a true phenomenon, and its soundtrack is just so iconic. Anyone who saw this movie noticed this soundtrack. It is the heart and soul of this movie. It is the heartbeat of this movie, quite literally. It is so good. Today we're going to be talking about, obviously, the original soundtrack, but also some of the songs that were used in it, because we like to mix it up a bit on this show. And again, the original soundtrack was composed by the amazing duo that is Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Their second collaboration with Luca Guadagnino after Bones and All, which we talked about 2 weeks ago. Continuity callbacks. We are so professional on this show. They do an incredible job in this soundtrack, and we will get into why specifically very soon. Let's do a very quick synopsis of Challengers, although, let's be real, everybody kind of knows what this movie's about, but I don't like to assume. So, Challengers 2024, around April it came out. It's basically a love triangle movie, if we're being reductionist. It is about Tashi Duncan, played by Zendaya, who is a tennis prodigy. At 16, she wins whatever big tennis competition. I forget. I'm sorry. I'm not into tennis, but I've seen this movie, I want to say 5 times now, 5 or 6 times. I saw it 4 times at the movies when it came out, and I've seen it, I think, about 2 more times since then. So Tashi Duncan is a tennis player, and movie starts out, her story in this movie starts out as her winning this, big tournament, and she's super young. She's, 16. She's gonna go against all odds to college anyways, because she's like, I don't want to just be a tennis player. I also want to be, smart, whatever. So she's a tennis prodigy, and then she runs into these 2 other tennis prodigies who are 2 young men called Art Donaldson and Patrick Zweig, and they meet at this tennis tournament. I think it's set in 2008, I believe. The movie does a great job at depicting that period. They meet during this tournament, and then ensues a complex, toxic, hot, and sexy love triangle that lasts all the way up to 2019. And yeah, that's what the movie's about. It's about tennis, it's about relationships, it's about jealousy, it's about power, it's about so many things, human connection. And it's great. It's an amazing script written by Justin Kurtzkis, who is, what can I say about Justin Kurtzkis? He is the husband of Celine Song, director of Past Lives, and more recently and very soon, The Materialists, her new movie that's coming out soon. So yeah, Justin Kurtzkis wrote the script for this. It's an amazing script. Luca Guadagnino directs. Sayam Pumukdiprom DPs, is the cinematographer for this movie. Sayam Pumukdiprom is the DP for a lot of Guadagnino's movies, and he is simply incredible. I love this director of photography more than anything. He is one of my biggest inspirations. He's also worked with, I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, Apishitpong Versetiku. I'm sorry. Memoria, Tropical Malady, all those movies. So yeah. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Challengers. amazing soundtrack that we're going to listen to today. First song I want to play for you is the song that plays when we are introduced to the character Tashi Duncan, played by Zendaya. And it is a song called Yeah Times 10. And you will understand why it's called Yeah Times 10 very soon. And it is so good. And it is a great way to be introduced to the coolest girl ever, aka Tashi Duncan. So without further ado, this is Yeah Times 10 by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Challengers. That was Yeah Times 10 by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for the movie Challengers. What a great way to be introduced to a character. That scene is so good. We're introduced to her as if we were audience members, spectators of this tennis match that she's in, and she walks off on the court, and she walks onto the court, and this starts playing, and you're like, oh, okay. She's so cool. And it's Zendaya, so of course she's cool. She sells it immediately. And the two guys who are both falling in love with her at the same time are like literally nearly drooling over her in the stands. Like just, I forgot you guys can't see me, but yeah, mouth agape. And it's a great scene, a great song, a great cue to score the entrance of the wonderful Zendaya. What I love about this song and about this score is how dynamic it is and how punchy it is and how it's like all these layers of rhythm that work together while simultaneously being, different. There's the claps, there's the electric guitar. I'm talking about the song we just listened to. There's the claps, the electric guitar, the vocals obviously singing the yeah-yeah-yeahs. There's like the synths that are kind of like da-da. There's just a lot of layers, and as a musician I love working with layers. Anytime I've ever tried to write instrumental music, which is not usually my forte, I'm more of a singer-songwriter myself. Anytime I've tried to do instrumental, I also work in layers, and so I like that a lot about this score. And I think it works really well, and it adds to this kind of like organized and orchestrated chaos that that is also the feeling of this movie too. You know, there's constant tension and like, oh my god, when's it gonna break? And I love that, and that's what keeps you at the edge of your seat when you're watching this movie that is incredibly entertaining. Next song I want to play for you is not an original cue, an original song for the film. It is a borrowed track. And again, with this movie, Guadagnino is the best curator of soundtracks when it comes to borrowing songs. They're all so good, and this next song is no exception. It is Uncle Ace by Blood Orange. Blood Orange is a British artist. Devante Hines, his name is. He's also a producer, and he comes from the punk scene, the British punk scene. His band that he was in the early 2000s was called Test Icicles, which I think is really funny. Think about it for a second. Yeah, he comes from punk, but he ultimately makes a lot of different kinds of music, but he's just very talented. And this song, Uncle Ace, from his 2013 album, Cupid Deluxe, is pretty iconic in the canon of this movie because it plays during one of the pivotal scenes of the film, which happens a few hours after they meet for the first time, the three people in this love triangle, and they all go back to the boys' hotel room, the three of them together, and blah blah blah. You get what I mean? No, I can explain what happens. Tashi Duncan, played by Zendaya, comes back to their shared hotel room, and they're all excited. They're like, "Oh my god, she came!" It's a really funny scene, and then ensues a triple kiss. The three of them are sharing a kiss together. And this whole scene is scored by the song called Uncle Ace by Blood Orange, by like a specific part of the song. And I believe in the film it's supposed to play on the radio, but when I was doing my little research for the episode, I realized that this song came out in 2013, and I'm pretty sure this scene in the movie isn't in 2013. Uh-oh. Continuity. Come on, Luca. I'm kidding. I'm being annoying. Anyways, great song by Blood Orange, Uncle Ace from Cupid Deluxe in 2013. And a great vibe. I hope you enjoy Uncle Ace by Blood Orange.
I'll be there after 5.
That was Uncle Ace by Blood Orange. So good, right? So good. The guitar in that little the guitar loop that's like really funky. I love it. Love this song. Only that like final part, that like part where there's only instruments, plays like loudly enough in the movie for us to hear it, but it's such a good song. I wanted to play the full thing. I am straight up dancing in the radio studio right now by myself on a Sunday morning. This is great. I'm having a blast. This score is perfect, is a perfect way to end the quarter. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, my head is about to explode with the amount of work I have right now because of finals and projects and everything. So this is great. I needed this. I needed to decompress with a good Challenger soundtrack moment. Next cue I want to play for you comes from probably my favorite, I don't know if it's my favorite cue in the film, but it is my favorite like beat drop, quote unquote, of music in the film. What I'm trying to say is it's my favorite way that music is like introduced into the film, because the music starts on a movement. Like the cue starts on one of the characters' movements. To explain myself, this cue is called the signal because it happens when the two male characters, Art and Patrick, played by the way, I didn't even say who plays them, but Art Donaldson is played by Mike Feist, and Patrick Zweig is played by Josh O'Connor, and they're like best friends. They went to the tennis academy together, blah blah blah, and they're practicing together, and this is after they've already met Tashi, and one of them has made her his girlfriend, and the other is super jealous, blah blah blah. In this scene, they're about to play a match together, just practicing, and they have this whole conversation where it's like, just give me a sign if you've already hooked up with her. And before that ever starts, the music that comes in is called, the cue that comes in is called the signal, but it comes in right when they're doing these like warm-ups. You know the warm-ups where it's with two people and you hold each other's forearms while you're crouched, and it's kind of like you're stretching together. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but one of them lets go and the other falls on his butt on the floor, and when his butt touches the ground, the music starts, and I freaking love it. I think it works so well. I'm sorry, this is like kind of nerdy and specific, but I love that moment, and I love this cue. This is The Signal by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross for Challengers. That was the signal. And you got to hear a little bit of the tennis balls at the end. Yeah, I love this song. This cute. So good. So punchy. I want to read you a quote from the director of this movie, Luca Guadagnino, talking about the music that kind of enlightens a lot of the functionality and the purpose of this music and why it works so well. He says, Challengers had two elements that were very powerful in terms of sound, says Guadagnino in a clip premiere exclusive on Variety. This is from a Variety article. One was the erotic, crunchy pulse of tennis, the racket swinging, the ball hitting, bones crushing. And on the other hand, the pulse and energy of the score. Very telling, and also very interesting that at the end of the song I just played for you, they actually include the tennis balls and the tennis game sound at the end of the song. But I think that is very true and very apt of Luca. The next song I'm going to play for you is a version of a cue that is remixed. Because in addition to the soundtrack album, the original soundtrack album of the Challengers soundtrack, was released a remixed version of the soundtrack by this German-Iraqi DJ and producer called Boys Noise, who is pretty prominent in the rave and techno scene of the past couple years. And he remixed, I think, almost every cue that's in the soundtrack album. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And what's interesting about the choice to get Boys Noise to do it is that the soundtrack as a whole is inspired by, you know, techno, like Berlin techno and 90s rave music, which somebody like Boys Noise, who is a German DJ, knows very well. And so it's no coincidence that he was, you know, the one who made a remix album for the soundtrack. And so the next song I'm going to play for you is a cue from the movie that was remixed by Boys Noise, and it is called, for a reason I don't fully understand, it's called l'œuf, which is a French word, L'Oeuf, which means the egg. I don't know why it's called that, because it plays, first time it plays is during like a conversation that the three characters have by the water, and it's kind of like, again, like a tense conversation. This is before they go back to the hotel room together. This is like on a beach, and it's a gorgeous scene, and Zendaya looks stunning in this beautiful blue dress and her hair flowing in the wind. Anyways, and it's a scene where she talks about how tennis is about more than just tennis, and they're like talking about their ambitions, but it's also really like sexual tension-y, whatever. And this song starts to play, this cue starts to play, but I want to play for you the remixed version by Boys Noise. By the way, if you like the Challengers soundtrack, listen to the remixed album. It's called Challengers Mixed. It's so good. It'll give you a new, you'll recognize the songs obviously, but it's great. So this is L'œuf by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, mixed by Boys Noise. to cut that really fast because on the remixed album, all the songs go right one after the other. And it's great. It's such a good album. Go listen to it. So yeah, that was L'Oeuf Mixed by Boys Noise, originally by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Thank you for tuning in to the Soundtrack Revisited. We are very quickly going to go on an ad break, and we will be back very soon.
You're listening to Radio DePaul. Awarded Best Station in the Nation 2020.
I dropped my phone on the tracks. I better go get it.
Stop. Stay off the tracks.
The rails of the CTA have 600 volts of electricity moving through them, which is the same amount as a full-grown South American electric eel. That danger doesn't even include the 30-ton train moving upwards of 55 miles per hour, heading towards you like a bull on a mission. The situation will feel like you got hit by both thunder and lightning. You can live without your cell phone for a few minutes, so don't risk it. Stay behind the blue platform edge and relax. This message was brought to you by Radio DePaul, Chicago's college connection.
Rock the Clock 2025 is made possible by Haymarket Pub and Brewery. Haymarket is the West Loop's original brew pub. Located on the corner of Randolph and Halstead, they've been making great beer for great beer drinkers since 2010. Haymarket's casual atmosphere makes for the perfect spot to gather with family and friends. Inside, there are plenty of TVs to watch your favorite games, play pool or darts, enjoy delicious food, and features a full bar including cocktails and spirits. Just walk in or go to haymarketbeer.com to make a reservation today.
What's up, y'all? This is Jeremiah.
What's up? This is Steve-O from Jackass. You're listening to Radio DePaul.
Radio DePaul.
Radio DePaul is Chicago's college connection.
Radio DePaul is Chicago's college connection, and you are listening to it right now. This is Roxy with the Soundtrack Revisited, our 6th episode and our last episode of the spring quarter. We are talking about the groundbreaking, amazing, show-stopping movie Challengers and its amazing soundtrack. Before the break, we listened to one of the cues that appears in the film. We listened to the remixed version by Boys Noise. Again, amazing album of the soundtrack remixed. The next song I want to play for you is again, not an original song. It is a borrowed song that happens during a very sweet and complicated and also sexual scene. All these scenes, like, what I like about this movie is that it's like, love triangle, sexual, blah, 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 but there's always an added layer of, like, this is not just about, like, physical attraction. It's also about power. It's also about deception. It's also about envy and jealousy on, like, a more personal level, that it's like, I want to be you, so I want to be with you, so I don't know which is which. It's a great psychological study beyond being also an amazingly entertaining movie with some great acting and some great directing and some beautiful cinematography. Anyways, the scene that I'm talking about that is scored by this track happens in the third part of the film, the last third of the film, where one of the characters who eventually marries Tashi Duncan, played by Zendaya, is trying to have a heart-to-heart with her and be like, hey, what's going to happen if I don't win? I mean, I haven't told you the whole story, so it just doesn't make much sense without context, but you'll get the vibe. This is a married couple. They're both, like, in their mid-30s. They're both in the world of tennis. One is an actual tennis player, the man, played by Mike Feist, plays Art Donaldson. And the other is his manager, who is an ex-tennis player, played by Zendaya, manager and wife. And he's trying to tell her, hey, what happens if I lose and if I if I don't make it as a tennis player anymore, like, will you still love me, or is this relationship just about tennis? Because as we've seen in the movie, throughout the movie, you know, you don't really know what, if there are ulterior motives, whatever. Like, it's very complex. And so this scene is a heart-to-heart where this married couple is kind of faced with the kind of, with the complexity of their relationship and the way that it is affected by more than just their love for each other, that it really is a lot about tennis, and they kind of realize that, and they're like, wait, what will happen if this tennis thing doesn't work out? What is our relationship, like, a lie? Or what does our relationship revolve around if not tennis? Blah, blah, blah. It's a great scene, and it is scored by a very tender and beautiful song called Pecado by this Brazilian multidisciplinary artist. He's a musician, but he's also a filmmaker, an activist, etc. His name is Caetano Veloso. I think he's pretty famous in Brazil. He's pretty famous for, like, you know, bossa nova and stuff like that, kind of in the Gilberto Gil genre, sort of. And this song is called Pecado, as I said, and it's from an album that he put out in 1994 called Fina Estampa. And it's a beautiful song. And it's very, like, it's very sentimental, but it's also romantic, and there's that kind of bossa nova Brazilian sensuality about it as well. Again, Luca coming in with the best song choices when it comes to borrowing songs. It's, the more you think about his choices, the more you're like, wait, this is actually perfect. And this one is no exception. And I love this scene. I love the relationship between these two characters, so Zendaya and Mike Feist, who are playing Tashi and Art, because they're the ones who end up, you know, getting married. They have a child, but ultimately, as I said, their life is still very much tied to tennis. And that's really what this whole movie is about, is like, what... I have a hard time kind of voicing what I mean, because I try not to write down too much of what I want to talk about, because then I feel like it doesn't come out as natural or organic. But anyways, this movie is about human connections and the way that sometimes it can feel difficult to have human connections that are completely devoid of ulterior motive and that are just about, like, mutual attraction or mutual affection, and constantly doubting it and being like, wait, am I being punked? So yeah, this is a great film, and if you haven't seen it, watch it. I don't know that many people who did not like this movie, and I'm gonna be a snob for a second. If you did not like this movie, like, if you didn't love it, fine. If you hated this movie, what is wrong with you? I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't say that. That probably comes off as really mean. But it's true. So watch this movie. I think it's on Amazon. Boo. I think it's on Amazon and, like, other things. I'm not gonna lie. I always stream it illegally. Whoops. I didn't say that. What? I didn't say that. That never happened. Challengers is another one of those movies that I had a really big hyperfixation on when it came out. As I said, I saw it like 4 times at the movies. I have a giant poster of it in my room. I got to shout out my close friend Giovanna, who is back in Paris and who obsessed about the movie with me when it was out. And for each other's birthdays, we gave each other Challengers themed things. So for her birthday, I gave her a printed copy of the script. I printed out the script and I, you know, got it put together with like a, I don't know how you say it, but like I bound it together and I gave that to her for her birthday. And for my birthday, she gave me a shirt, the I Told Ya shirt. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, the gray shirt with the black writing. And when I got that big poster at the movies, I got her a poster as well. So I have to shout out Giovanna. But yeah, I was obsessed with this movie when it came out. I still am. I know it by heart. I did not have to rewatch it for this show because I know it. I don't need to be reminded of it. It's so fresh in my mind. To be fair, I did rewatch it not that long ago. I rewatched it, I think it was in March, late March. I also have to shout out, I'd have to shout out a million people who have talked, not a million, but a lot of people who have talked with about this movie. Yeah. My colleagues at the Shack, obviously, there are a few with whom I've bonded about this movie. The amazing Jenna, who also loves this movie, who is a DePaul student and who's graduating this year. We watched it on their birthday, and I know that they love this movie. Yeah. A lot of people adore this movie, and rightfully so. It's an amazing film. And I think, honestly, it's like one of those movies that for the 2020s is like a staple. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm, using hyperbole or whatever. I really think it is, and I think it is timeless in that way, but also like, oh yeah, remember when Challengers came out? Like, I feel like we're going to be talking about it for a long time to come. But anyways, my gosh, all that to play you this next song, which I talked about like 10 minutes ago now, which is Pecado by Caetano Veloso from 1994. Enjoy.
Yo no sé si es prohibido, si no tiene perdón, si me lleva al abismo, solo sé que es amor. Yo no sé si este amor es pecado, que tiene castigo. Si es faltar a las leyes honradas del hombre y de Dios. Solo sé que me aturde la vida como un torbellino. Me arrastra a tus brazos en ciega pasión. Es más fuerte que yo, que mi vida, mi credo y mi sino. Es más fuerte que todo el respeto y el temor de Dios. Aunque sea pecado, te quiero lo mismo. Y aunque todo me niegue el derecho, me aferro a este amor. Es más fuerte que yo, que mi vida, mi credo y mi signo. Es más fuerte que todo el respeto y el temor de Dios. Aunque sea pecado, te quiero lo mismo. Y aunque todo me niegue el derecho, me aferro a este amor.
That was Pecado. Very gorgeous song, Pecado by Caetano, Veloso. As I said, it's very emotional, but it's also very romantic, and I don't know, I love it. I think it works perfectly for the scene. We are getting close to the end, my friends. This was so much fun for me. I love this movie. I love the soundtrack. I was dancing and swaying in the studio by myself, listening to everything again. I want to thank you for tuning in for these past 6 weeks. I've had so much fun again, and it's really been a pleasure to rediscover these soundtracks and dig deep into these movies that I love so much. And I want to thank Radio DePaul for letting me do this and letting me talk and talk and talk. And oh my gosh, I want to thank Radio DePaul for nominating me for an award, because I was nominated for Best New Show, guys. That's so exciting. Thank you so much. I don't know how it works to get nominated, but whatever happened, thank you. I'm so grateful. And the last song I want to play for you is the song. It's the last song that plays in the movie, the last cue that plays in the movie, and it is called Challenger's Match Point. And it is so good. It's by, again, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. And I think this is a great way to send you off. And to finish this season of the Soundtrack Revisited, I will see you again very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.
make a connection?
This is Bulletin.
The stop for Radio DePaul, your Chicago college connection.